So I'm like, random? He's like my favorite race. Protoss. You can't trust Jplex though. Jplex, you can say, you know, he's learned from me in regards to saying he's Zerg and he's not Zerg, or so. He likes to toy with his victims. So here's the thing. I quickly go and scout his base because I don't know what he's up to. He's gonna go scout mine because he's got to. He doesn't know what I'm too crazy to be predictable. So he's got to go scout me. I'm making my gas. I'm actually going over to his base so I can gas steal him. But once he saw my probe, he's like, nah, you're not taking my gas. I think he knows me by now. So the only thing I can do right now is try to wall his gas and keep his gas from being so effective. And he's going to have to long distance gas. The only thing is Jplex decided, oh, okay, well, I'll do that too to you then. And so once I did it to him, he started going, oh, well, I'll do it. And he blocked my gas right here. The only difference between this is that I know why I did this. He doesn't know why he did this. He just knows that, well, I gotta hold off your gas as well. So I'm going quickly with the Zealot to take out these two pylons. Taking this one out first so I can get a good mining on the gas. And then he's not attacking. He's going for his cybernetics core. Kill the probe. He has a very cheeky probe right here that goes right in the center of here. And the Zealot actually, you can't get in. I thought it was a pylon on the other side. Wasn't sure what that was. Stargate came up. I spotted it with my pylons. So I knew the Stargate timing. I made my Stargate. Now I'm mining out of this. He's not. He's still long distance mining. So that makes a big difference in how much gas I have to make an extra Phoenix or an extra Void Raid. And he's getting supply block faster than I am. Now I'm making 2 Stargates. He's making only 1 Stargate. There goes his second one. Second one's very late. And I make my expansion. Now I come over here and take a look at what he's building. I see the Phoenix. And so I already know it's going to be a Phoenix play. If it was an Oracle, he would already lose the lead because I would already get ready for the Oracle. And if he comes to poke, I'll come and chase him down. And then he's already down a Phoenix. He's got supply blocks, so now he can't get a Phoenix yet. That's a big problem. You got to make sure you watch out for that. Very important. Chrono boosting the Stargate. Now he's gonna get an expansion. I gotta make my pylon because I forgot, yeah, as well. But the other thing is that the Nexus gives you a little bit of supply, so that kind of helps me with the. I don't have to make too many pylons right off the bat. I can use some of this supply to get me an additional more Phoenixes before I make another pylon. That's just trying to be very conservative. Now this is pretty much just me trying to see his timing, but he does pick me off before I come in and see. But I already expect the fact that there's a Zealot here that it's going to be an expansion. I saw how many Phoenixes he had. I was going to move out, but I decided to hold off and get a couple more Phoenixes before I actually move out. Yeah, so I'm already getting the gas lead right here. His Nexus is, yeah, he's getting his gas right here, but it's not right away. And that's very big whenever you're playing a Skytoss. Want to make sure your gases are a priority. Phoenixes are coming into the map. We're both going to run into each other. Now, we both lose a Phoenix. And I don't want to go too far in because it's his territory. He might get an additional 2 more Phoenixes. And then I'm going to lose the count. So what I'm going to do now is, since it's a Phoenix versus Phoenix, I'm going to start getting my upgrade range with the Phoenix. And then during that time, then I'm going to switch it over to carriers. Because when you're playing Phoenix versus Phoenix, the only way to kind of come out of it somewhat ahead is by switching up to carriers. Because the interceptors force the Phoenixes to derp up a little bit on his side. And my Phoenixes can actually get the edge on that. So while I'm getting my range and a couple more Phoenixes, my next transition will be carrier to swap. I could go, like if I'm going Void Raids first and he's going Phoenixes and I stay safe, I can go Phoenixes right after and use the Void Raids as a buffer, as a body block. And that'll actually kind of semi get me back into the switch. So if you're going Void Raids and you're going Phoenixes, you have to come back and make more Phoenixes to combat with your Void Raids, and then switch over to carriers. If not, if you keep going Void Raids, you're going to get crushed. It takes longer to get Void Raids, more gas heavy, more minerals heavy, and then less gas heavy and less mineral heavy on the Phoenixes. So you get more Phoenixes than you do Void Raids right away. So I came over here, slowed down his income. I'm already got my range, so technically I get more shots in. Keeping my range, distance, not getting too close. Trying to clump up. Got the energy shield, so I gotta stay away. Can't do too many. But I'm already switching over to carriers. I do get an expansion over here to try to beat them on the economy. Phoenixes again, we're trying to pick off probes and then move out. That way we at least keep his economy down. Now my carriers are coming out. Terrible at microing Phoenixes, usually lose them, or I focus on microing them and don't pay attention to my base. Yeah, that's one thing about the Phoenixes. You gotta, as you're moving them off, say I'm going over here to the right. As you notice, I'm actually I was actually keeping a patrol path. See right over here. Right here. See where I'm at? I'm actually going over here. When I do this as Phoenixes, it's pretty much the time where I come back over here and do some macroing or building structures. While this is actually shift clicked over to where I want them. That way, by the time I do what I need to, I'll meet up with my Phoenixes, and then I'll start using them and controlling them. So as you can see, I'm already set up to go over here while I'm doing some teching, and now I control them. He beat me on the angle, and right when I recall my probes, he was lucky enough to go check the gold, since now he has map control, and that really hurt me on this one right here. Carriers came in. Now I see how many carriers he has. But I already switched to carriers faster than he did. So, and then I'm already going Tempest, because when you go carriers, you're gonna match up with carriers eventually. And the only thing that counters carriers a little quicker is Tempest. And then I'm using the mothership to make sure he doesn't have, most likely doesn't have an observer. He most likely won't have an oracle to revelate to get the vision. So I'm already 2 steps ahead of him. Tempest for the carriers for the carriers and phoenixes, and continuing my macro. Now he's getting his third, and now he's getting Tempest. But I have a mothership. The phoenixes are continuously attacking the interceptors, if you notice that. And he didn't really focus fire because every time he attacks, he's not shift attacking, and they end up derping on the interceptors. The Tempest wipe out the carriers, and then the carriers pretty much focus fire on the other carriers that he has. So you see a big difference there, right there. It's a lot of it's micro, you know. So the fact that these are cloaked doesn't allow these phoenixes to focus fire my carriers, and then they're all focus firing the mothership. So the mothership's more like a body blocker, and it sponges a lot of damage. Now once I see the Tempest and the carriers, I immediately focus fire them. That way the interceptors don't start attacking interceptors. They actually attack the right units. And remember, he didn't have vision. He stopped attacking the mothership because of the A move, and all of a sudden the phoenixes are attacking interceptors because that's all they can see, and that's a big problem with the phoenixes. They derp on the interceptors, and then I'm focus firing on the carriers instead of actually just A moving. You don't want to A move. Now by the time the mothership is over, his army is already destroyed. The interceptors, now the phoenixes are still trying to whittle down the army, but they don't have enough punching power to kill all this. That and the interceptors are going to do a better job. Does the time warp slow down? No, it doesn't. It only does it for ground. Time warp's only for ground. With the new patch, the time warp is supposed to slow down the units by 50%. So that's going to be a little bit helpful. It's going to allow more people to want to use the mothership. But yeah, no, it doesn't do anything to the air units. Now at this point, I mean, he lost his army count. He can replenish it right away, and I took out his expansion. So, and I'm pretty much taking out as many pros as I could before I leave, just in case, you know. But in this case, he was already in a bad spot. And these are interceptors with new patch. This is the new patch. This is the new testing map that we were doing. So it's not the old way. So the Tempests are a lot faster. That's how fast, you know. They're always faster than the carriers now. This is the new patch right here. If you guys didn't know, this right here, this game is the new patch. So you can see the Tempests are actually just beating the carriers in speed. You gotta kind of see how. Oh, Boom! Thank you so much, Boom. What up, T1? Laser Brewery, Captain Speaky. I got who was here? Yeah, M Coop. What up, M Coop? What do you think about the new patch? The new patch is really good. Um, One thing I like about the new patch is the changes that they made make the game a lot more interesting because there's a lot more chance of being more creative, right? So the Tempest right here, they're quicker, but they are weaker. So what that means is they're really good at maybe harassing the opponent a lot faster and dodging some things. Like stim marines can be dodged with the Tempest, and you can kind of stutter step as long as you're not too close, because of course they're weaker, so they can die quicker. So they make this more micro intensive. What is it? The robo cost is pretty good on a sweet spot timing. The only thing is I wouldn't do it versus Terrans right now, because Terrans are actually using the was it the Banshee play. The Banshees are a lot quicker, or at least they seem a lot quicker. I don't know if they did anything. I have to check, but they were pretty fast in my book, unless they got speed. But Banshees are an issue. So Void Raids don't do Immortal, Double Immortal. You gotta watch it with that. You gotta hope that the player's not going for like a Banshee play, or else your Immortals just get wrecked. He'll get one Viking, take out your your um, your Prism, and all of a sudden you gotta figure out how to get back out of that. The Widow Mines too. They get Widow Mines with it, and then you can't really see the Widow Mines once they shoot. So you have a problem with that. You got to get observers, or you got to get revelation. Um, it does make things a lot more interesting. That's what I like. You can't just. It's not the standard meta. You can play some of the meta standard. It doesn't hinder too much of the meta, but it does in a way of the early game, because you can get there's more harassing with the units. I don't know about Zerg though. Zerg, not enough changes to really alter their aggression to you, um, other than the burrow, but that takes a little bit of time. So I know they have burrow way quicker or something like that, and a couple other things. The Hydras aren't that strong. They want to make sure that the Hydras aren't going to be the unit of choice every game with Zerg, so they're weakening the Hydras. So, which is going to be good for my play, because I go Oracle play and they didn't do anything against the Oracles. So the Hydras versus my play on the PvZ is going to be a lot easier. Um, but the Terrans are going to be something I got to change my builds for a better creative builds on the Tempest, using the Tempest. The carriers don't do so much. They're reasonable, but they're not like as good as they used to be. The fact that you can't get enough to kill the bios if they're getting a lot of bio play. The fact that the Widow Mines can't get killed afterwards when they release their shots, that still makes it harder for the carriers to continue unless you get an observer. So you need an observer with your carriers versus Terran, just in case. One thing is you could use your mothership with your carriers, for the fact that you can actually do the time warp and enforce 50% of their attack to be decreased. That would give your carriers maybe a match with the fact that they're not as fast as before. So that's probably the only thing I could see the carriers benefiting, is if you're going carrier mothership and you're using that spell to force out 50% of the attack speed from your opponent. But all in all, I like it. There's challenges on all forts. That's only if he gets digging claws. Okay, yeah, he has to get the upgrade. Yeah, I know I don't do upgrades. Um, so I'm gonna be having to do more. I think Skytoss is more efficient versus Terran in the beginning, or you gotta make sure you're getting your blink stalkers and your observers, and hopefully your disruptors are gonna be good, because the disruptors are gonna keep the fact that the Terrans are gonna be containing you, having the Marines kind of just buffing the balls of the disruptors. So that's gonna kind of help you a little bit on the contain. Um, the fact that the Widow Mines are going to be burrowed and not being able to be revealed, that's where the disruptors come up. So I can see a lot of early Stalker Disruptor plays versus Terran as well being a benefit, but you definitely want to get an Observer, or you want to get some type of detection, because Banshee play is going to be used a lot, and the Widow Mine drops is going to be used a lot. So make sure you have you know, cannons in the back, or stalkers with observers, or just make sure you remember the Widow Mine timing. But expect a lot of Widow Mine drops versus Protoss. As Protoss, make sure you watch out for the disruptor drops. They'll drop a couple disruptors, and then just throw some balls in the middle of your arm, in middle of your probe line, and just destroy your probe line, and then already get the lead that way. So there's multiple ways that you can kind of get the lead. See, which requires what only if you get the need clause, which requires an armory and a tech lab on a factory which you want a reactor on, which is compensation for how good it will be. Cannon gives detection to, yeah, you can get cannons, but like maybe like a cannon and a battery shield, just so that you can get the battery shield to heal the cannon. Because if he gets 3 or 4 Banshees, I mean, he can wipe out that cannon, and all of a sudden now there's no detection at all. That's the problem with the cannon. Unless you make multiple cannons, maybe 2, so that you can have enough time to warp in and shoo off the Banshees. But the only thing with the Banshee cloak is that if you have a cannon at the main base, I mean, the Banshees can still come over to your regular structures and start wiping out your pylons, maybe your main tech. Maybe if it sees a robo, it'll take out the robo after the pylon. Maybe it'll take out the cybernetics core, and you have nothing to watch out for. So you're gonna have to watch out with the fact that your cannons are not exactly the full protection. If you have an Oracle, you could stasis ward your mineral line, so that if he does drop Widow Mines, it can actually just at least for the first 1 or 2 Widow Mines, they'll just stasis them. But that's just a scenario thing. I'm not even sure if he'll catch 1 or 2 of them, since they drop off 1 at a time. It's kind of hard to say. But the Widow Mines are going to be an issue that you're going to have to watch out for again. Yeah, he's dead after this point. And he wanted a macro, maybe? Yeah, too much.